You, Carl. Yeah, obviously many of these retailers were damaged and looted because of the unrest that ultimately turned violence over the weekend. And it comes at a very unfortunate timing, as many of them are just trying to reopen their doors after being closed because of the COVID-19 crisis. The Target store on Lake Street in Minneapolis is near where George Floyd was killed. That remains closed, along with 5 other stores until further notice. The associates at closed stores will be given pay and benefits for about 2 weeks and will be able to work at other locations if they choose. And a blog post, Target CEO Brian Cornell said in part, the murder of George Floyd has unleashed the pent-up pain of years, as have the killings of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. The Grove Mall in Los Angeles also sustained significant damage and looting, including the Nordstrom store there. The department store's flagship store in Seattle also damaged. Nordstrom has closed all stores as of yesterday, with the hopes of reopening as soon as possible. CEO and President Eric and Pete Nordstrom putting out a statement saying, in part, like so many of you, we have deeply been saddened and angered by the recent events in our country. The senseless deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and too many others reflect the deeply ingrained racial prejudice and injustice that still exists in our communities today. Walmart had also closed several hundred stores, though that was mostly as a precaution, as many of those stores were not located in the city centers where many of the demonstrations and political unrest and violence ultimately took place. Walmart CEO Doug McMillon did say in a statement, at a time when our response to the COVID-19 crisis has brought out the best in us, what took place earlier this week is further proof we must remain vigilant in standing together against racism and discrimination. And of course, many more retailers are still working through what damage has actually been done and if stores are able to reopen and when. So we'll bring you those updates when we have them. Carl, back over to you.
Court, I guess the other point is that a lot of these protests did sort of blow out of the water a lot of these shelter-in-home mandates that we've been using to mitigate the spread of the disease. That in itself might also cause some businesses, prevent them from reopening in future weeks.
Absolutely, and that has been such a concern of so many businesses, but of course retailers in particular, because that has been a business, if you're non-essential, of course, where you have been required to close stores. And really the worst nightmare is to reopen stores, to have a re-flare-up or a re-flare-up of any kind. In this case, if you're talking about just people gathering together for whatever the reason, that could just continue to cause significant damage. And remember, Carl, a number of these retailers did file for bankruptcy during the COVID-19 crisis with plans to close stores, basically reopen them in order to close them. And if they've sustained damage during some of this unrest, that's just going to be sort of a 1-2 punch for many of these retailers that were already struggling through this.
Courtney, Reagan, we'll talk to you in a little while. I appreciate that very much.